be at the fight. I'm ready to back up everything I'm saying, and I'm through talking.
This gymnasium is packed. Absolutely packed.
Stayed with that one. Kansas has made only 2 threes on the night. They must make one here to extend the game. Collins driving, almost lost the handle. Chalmers for the tie. Got it in 2 seconds. Unbelievable.
Wade on the drive, kicks it out. Nice look for Chalmers, who hits a 3. Chalmers on the drive, bump, and puts it in.
Anecdote. What am I saying?
It misfires. Wade kicks it out. Chalmers wide open. That's a 3. Mario Chalmers rattles in the three-pointer, his second of the game.
Welcome to the Alumni Talk Podcast, another episode. I'm your host, Ricky Goins, the Vice President of Team Operations for the Alumni Basketball League, who will be bringing a series of alumni games for colleges around the country. Definitely follow us on Twitter at the ABL USA. This podcast is on Apple Podcasts and YouTube. Also on Instagram at ABL Ballin. It's owned by Kareem Rush and Jake Jackson. So we have a lot of things coming in 2023. This podcast is a chance to give us some content in the process. We're joined with the NBA and NCAA champion, Mario Chalmers. It's a pleasure to have you, man, to get the chance to speak with you, setting off this show. My first question to start you out is, how did you start playing basketball? Like, what got you really involved in the game?
For me, it was a family sport. Like, everybody in my family played basketball, from my grandma to my grandpa to uncles. Everybody played, mom, dad, sister. So it was bound for me to pick up a basketball.
Okay, so you were talk about your high school career a little bit. I know you were a McDonald's All-American, but you played in Alaska. I didn't realize that till I was doing some background. So how was it playing ball in Alaska? I know some other stars, Carlos Boozer and some of them guys, Trajan Langdon had played there. So were you kind of in their footsteps, or what's basketball like in Alaska?
Basketball back in the day was way better than what it is now. With the different rules change and everything. Everybody had to stay home and actually play at home and, play for your AAU team that's coming out of, your home city. So, for me, it was cool at first, getting on the scene and, going to the AAU tournaments and then, trying to compete with the lower 48. Sometimes we didn't have the size to compete with them, but the guard play was always good. So that's one thing about it. We do got good guards. Guards actually know how to play basketball and play real basketball. So that part was easy to learn. But as far as, like, for me, just trying to get seen and figure things out, I had to leave every weekend. After my high school season, I was leaving every Thursday, coming back Monday, going to Vegas, go to Cali, just different places just to be seen and play basketball.
So, like, I'm curious, how many high schools in Alaska, and what are the leads? Is there a 4A Alaska, or like?
Yeah, it's 4A, 3A, 2A, 1A. So
okay.
I was 4A. In Anchorage, where I'm from, we got Bartlett Service, East, West, Diamond, Juliet. We had 6, if I remember correctly, when I was there. 6 in Anchorage, but around probably had 10 to 14, maybe 12. So other than that, that was just that. Just playing.
So what was your recruitment like? I mean, you're in Alaska. You say you're not near the lower 48. Like, how did Bill Self even find you? How did you get your name out there?
For me, I was still up there. In my class in 2005, I was ranked the number 1 point guard in the nation. I was ranked the number 12 overall player. So, I had game. Like, I was doing my thing. I was going out there tearing people up, making my name, leaving my stance. So that's how I really got started. Just leaving my mark every time I went to the lower 48. I had to turn it up. And I remember I first really got on the scene. I think it was like 2003. We played in a tournament in Vegas, and my grandma had just died. We had lost the state championship on a buzzer beater. My grandma had just died, so like
Oh,
I got
wow.
all this fueling up in me. Like I wanted to quit basketball and all that, and I just know my grandma, she wouldn't want me to quit. So I went to Vegas and I played in the tournament with Pump and Run Cali, and I averaged 40 for the tournament. So
Wow.
that was really my coming out party where everybody was like, okay, well, maybe this kid really is real. He do got some things to him, and that's when all the invitations started coming. 5-star camp, NBA Top 100 camp, and all that. So once you get on that scene and you make a name for yourself, everybody gonna follow. They want to follow good basketball and see the best players play. So just establish yourself is the main thing you got to do first.
So who was your final like 3 or 4 schools that recruited you?
My finals that I had that I wanted to go to was Kansas, Georgia Tech. Wake Forest was in there. Arizona was in there. And then North Carolina, kind of. For me, I always wanted to be a Tar Heel. I grew up a Tar Heel fan. I was born in Charlotte, so like all my family's here. So I always wanted to be a Tar Heel. But when the recruiting came, North Carolina and Roy Williams, they lied to me about the recruiting process. So that turned me off of North Carolina at a young age. Like I came out the womb.
Did they take a point guard that year? Because I know next year they took Ty Lawson. He's from my area.
They took Bobby Frazier.
Bobby Frazier, you're right.
No disrespect to Bobby Frazier, but
he wasn't you.
He wasn't me. It was a different beast on that court. But everything happens for a reason. So then Coach Shelf, I always been a Coach Shelf fan. When he was at Illinois with D Brown, Darren Williams, and all them, like he loves his guards. For me, I was a guard. I wanted to stay with the guards and make it how I can make it. And just seeing what he did with those 3 guards and the guys he had before, he just really let his point guards play, and that was the biggest factor for me.
I mean, I was looking some things up. So you were the defensive player of the year one year, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking about this. So you come into your your first year of college, and then one of the hardest things to figure out in college basketball is how to really be a good defender, right? So you just told me you averaged
me.
You told me you averaged 40. Man, then you came and you were defensive player of the year. It was easy. Man,
it was easy for me.
Big 12.
It was easy for me because, like, with my instincts and stuff, they put me on the shooter. So I just had to chase people off the screens. I was able to play the passing lanes. Like, he put me in a position to succeed. That's why I held the school record, Big 12 record of most steals in a single season. Like, he put me in that position to really excel me on the defense end. And then Coach Shelf always taught us from the beginning, like, if y'all buy in on the defense end, I don't care what y'all do in the offense end. As long as y'all moving the ball and playing together, like, I don't care about that. It's the defense end. So, just being in the passing lane, getting steals, it made the game easier for everybody.
Your freshman year, you were the Big 12 tournament MVP.
Mm-hmm.
And that's interesting because, a lot of times those tournaments is when the older guys kind of like, this is my turn. But you, as a freshman, was Big 12 MVP and a deep Big 12. So, like, what was your mindset in that tournament?
For me, I always like going against the big dogs. Like, anytime I hear a name that's considered bigger than me, I got to step up and show my game. So coming into that game, they had P.J. Tucker, LaMarcus Aldridge, and Dale Gibson. Everybody knows those 3 guys. Like, so it was like, this is my one chance. I know Boobie leaving. I know LaMarcus leaving. PJ's a junior. So everybody, this was our chance to leave our mark, and this is my chance for me to have my little coming out party. Especially the way I started that season. I started terrible. First Arizona and Maui, I couldn't even get the ball across half court. So it was definitely a learning process for me. And then, once I got to that big stage, it was just like, you leave it all out here. You either win or you lose.
So, your I think that was your junior year when you hit the shot, right? One of the biggest shots in NCAA history. So just kind of talk about that for a minute because, I remember that. I remember seeing that Memphis team with Derrick Rose and those guys. And then, that shot was crazy. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, I never really been a Kansas fan.
Nobody really was.
So I'm real cool with Coach Norm Roberts. We talked about because I help with recruiting kids. He's called me about kids. I've talked to him about. Never really been a huge Kansas fan, but man, that shot was amazing. So what was that like? And then think about that, and then compare it to what you saw last year when I won the national championship. Like what was just you hit the? What did that shot mean to you? I gotta ask that. Like what was it? What was that feeling?
For me, that was just a stamp. Like you said, freshman year I got MVP. Sophomore year, made Big 12, second team. So it was just all about getting better each and every year. And, getting to that moment on the big stage like that, you always want to be able to get to the big stage and able to leave your marks. So, I mean, once we got there, we didn't practice that play so many times. The teammates, my coaches had so much trust in me. It was second nature to me. Once we got to the timeout, he was like, "We run the chop, get rid of the ball." And everybody looked at me. It was like, so once you have a team that, like, there's nobody that side eyes is that, like, that comment, like, let's get rid of the ball. Nobody side eye it, then you got to perform. Like, you can't let your seniors down.
And how did it feel to see them win it this year?
It felt good. I'm always die Jayhawk. I'm ride or die Jayhawk to the fullest. So I was very happy to see them win, especially with the type of team they had. I didn't think that was one of his best teams, but they got the job done. That's the most important thing. And
it was a great game.
It was a great game. It was a really good game. So I mean, it's two comebacks. They always talking like we came back from 15 down, y'all came back from 9 down. So it's just to let you know that Kansas is a comeback school. Like, you can never count us out.
Definitely is. So now you're on your way to the NBA. You're drafted by Miami. What was it like going to the Heat prior to that? The team that came a little later. Like, getting there, what was the culture like when you got there? How did you kind of earn your keep when you got there?
The culture was the same. That's still that hard nose, weight and body fat. Get your work in. So for me,
Riley don't play.
Yeah, Riley don't play. So for me, it's kind of like playing for Coach Shuff. Like, Coach Shuff was the same way. Like, he didn't play. We didn't do weight and body fat, but he didn't play. He always wanted you to be in the best shape, best condition. So I came from that work ethic of always trying to be better, always making myself better, getting better 1%. That was the thing that we always said. So it was always make yourself 1% better each day. So I came from that background. So it was kind of easy for me to transition and fit right in.
So when Bron and them got there, I mean, it was just a little different regime. How did you ingrain yourself? I mean, you were a starter on an NBA championship team. Like, how did you just fit in with those guys?
It was actually kind of easy. Once you get on a team where everybody has the same goals, everybody has the same mindsets, it makes the ultimate goal easy. And with Bron coming to the Heat, he wanted to win. That's all they talked about was winning 3, 4, 5 championships and all that. So you knew what it was going to take or you knew what type of mindset you had to have to come in here and help win. So for me, being in that position, I think the biggest thing that helped me was I was able to play off the ball. I was one of those players that didn't need the ball necessarily. Like, you find me, I hit down the shot.
So, and I got to ask you this. So, we as fans, we saw a lot of, images with you and LeBron on the court. What is you guys' relationship really like during then, and what is you guys' relationship like
now? Back then we was real brothers. I felt like he was my brother. I feel like D-Wade was my brother too. So, I just felt like I was really close to those guys, and we did a lot of things. And then we won championships. We played basketball together, so that was the biggest thing. And the relationship now, I really don't talk to them guys. I barely see them. We in two different lanes. They still playing. I was trying to get back, and so it's just a whole different aspect. I mean, we still cool. I think we're always gonna be cool just because of the bond that we went through and the tribulations that we had in winning the championship.
So once you left the Heat, you were in Memphis, and then you went overseas. So what was one of the differences you really saw between, because I see you won some games overseas. So what was it was the same. I mean, I know you have a winner's mentality. You look like you won on every level you played on. So what was it like being overseas for you, later on in your career as opposed to like early on, like some guys?
It was definitely hard on me. Definitely hard. Just because, going overseas, it's a whole different lifestyle. It's a whole different ball game. They live different. They eat different. They travel different. Like, I'm coming from the NBA where everything's top tier. Like, we flying on the best planes. We staying in the best hotels. We getting paid on the 1st and 15th on time. We ain't got to worry about nothing. Going overseas, you don't know when your flight is for real. You got to be at the airport 2 hours early just sitting there. Like, you get middle seats. Like the travel's terrible. The way they treat you is not bad. But my biggest thing about overseas was not getting paid on time. Like I can't do that.
Yeah, that's something I hear a lot. Guys I've interviewed over the years, they're like, man, the best place overseas is somebody to pay you on time.
Somebody to pay you on time. Like for me, it's just going over there and just buying my own way, doing my own. I'm doing my own thing to live, so it's different. Like you brought me out there to do a job, but you're not paying me.
So I got I saw recently, and this is before Kareem connected us. You were playing some 1-on-1, or was it 2-on-2? I saw you. You play 1-on-1, right?
1-on-1, yeah. Versus
so what guys? Because that's a big thing in DC. Because Quinn Cook and Kevin Durant had got it going, and then it just took off during COVID. What got you involved in it though?
I just love to hoop. That's just my thing. Like for me, in my NBA career, I was always that guy that was like I never really got to show what I could really do because of the guys I had on my team. So it's still little things out there that people say like, "Oh, you only won because you had Brown and D Wade on your team." Like y'all fought me.
You won everywhere. You win everywhere you been.
Exactly, and I still held my own. Like there's still games where I had 20, 25, 19. Like so, whatever you want to say. Now that all that's done, I'm kind of NBA's kind of going younger. I'm not really getting the looks I used to. I still want to hoop. So if y'all want to play 1-on-1 for a couple $, I'll play. Yeah, I have some fun with it.
And one thing people don't realize is like open shots when you have to make them is a totally different pressure. Most guys never in a situation where when Braun kick it to you, you got to make that shit.
You got to make that shot. Like, if you don't, you're not getting another one, or you might get pulled out the game.
You got to find a job, and the pressure to make shots is crazy. Real quick before we finish up, the rivalry between I guess it's Kansas and Kansas State, or Kansas and Missouri. What was the real rivalry, and which game did you look forward to more?
The real rivalry for me. We just had this conversation the other day. Mine was Texas. I didn't care about nobody else except Texas. Like, yeah, K-State is it's a school rivalry. But if you look at the records, we beat the hell out of them every time. So I was like, in my career, I lost to them twice. And that was Michael Beasley was the second time. And then
Michael Beasley.
Yeah.
Kevin Durant, Michael Beasley, they're from my area, the DC guys.
Yeah. So y'all never won a series. Y'all won a game. So it's kind of like y'all not rivalries to us. Like we never played y'all for a championship. We played Texas. My 3 years, we played Texas all 3 years for the championship. So that's a rival to me. Like if y'all not competing up there with us, then y'all not a rival. Y'all in the way. Y'all something to talk about.
So let me actually wrap up, man. What do you have going? Like, what do you focus on doing now? Like in your, your business career, whatever. I know your basketball career is starting to, wind down. What do you have going on that our audience, anybody can support you with?
I'm coming out my own little merchandise, fan merchandise. That's one thing I'm doing. Trying to get another YouTube event going, so that's another big thing. Still trying to get the YouTube going. So if anybody want to tap into the YouTube, holla at me. We got the games going. We got the YouTube hoopers that can really hoop. So it's not just a gimmick. So it's a lot of fun being out there. And then I'm low key in the process of writing another book, another children's book. But we'll still see that. See how that comes to transition. And then still doing my foundation work. So my foundation, Mario Chalmers Foundation, we support the initiative of research of breast cancer. We should support youth initiatives to help keep the kids out the streets and something productive. So we got a couple events coming up now that COVID and everything's open and everything's opening back up. So I'll definitely be posting some stuff on my website.
No, definitely, man. We appreciate having you, man, for you taking the time. Nice to get you on here. To our audience, we appreciate Mario coming on, man. And that's for everybody. Follow us, ablballing.com, and ablballing on Twitter. And at ABO Ball on Instagram. Thank you guys for coming up on another episode and appreciate you.
All right.